Hi, and welcome back. This time I'm going to circle back to my musings on shooting and presenting video. Specifically, I want to talk about preparation. I think I first really started appreciating the importance of preparation when I was presenting content back when I was trying to do a regular podcast. And I learned this all the hard way, namely by not being prepared. That said, I want to say that preparation, I find, is a bit of a double edged sword, or at least it can be. I mean, there's the obvious advantage in that if you're well prepared for whatever it is you want to talk about, it eliminates the ums and uhs and likes from your speech, or at least it helps. And generally, it helps you be more coherent and to the point, which is important in video. The flip side, however, is that it's not hard to use preparation as an excuse, either because you feel you need to be perfect and so you spend too much time preparing, or that you don't feel that you've prepared enough and so you put off doing whatever it is that you were trying to accomplish. In this case, it doesn't even have to be preparation in the sense of writing a script or doing research either. I've said for a while that part of the reason I'm doing these vlogs is to learn and practice more sophisticated technical or techniques in video production. Part of that is that I'm trying to produce a couple of substantially more complicated videos with a fairly technical script intercut with A and B roll footage. Now, generally these vlogs don't do anything that specifically addresses that point, and they're not helping me directly prepare for those topics. But they are addressing a lot of the other day-to-day stuff that I wasn't comfortable with either. Ultimately, though, I see this as real preparation for those videos for two reasons. First, they're making the problem more tractable for me. I'm getting down the simple stuff in these videos so that I don't have to be so worried about that in addition to the more complex stuff. Secondly, I'm actually moving forward now, and I'm not just using my felt lack of preparation as an excuse for not even getting started. So with that said, let's talk about preparation. I'm certainly not an expert on this, but I have picked up a couple of things along the way, and one of those is that you need to find what works best for you. I spoke in a previous video about how I'm writing all these vlogs as scripted videos. Most of the reason I'm doing that is because I find I can think more clearly about what I'm saying when I'm writing as opposed to trying to do it when I'm speaking to camera. I have the freedom on my computer to move thoughts around and reorganize them into something that flows better and makes more sense. Sure, in some ways I could do this in post-production, but it would be substantially more jarring and definitely more work. So what can you do to prepare? Well, on the presentation side of things, obviously one option is to write a script. That said, it's a bit of a skill in itself too. You can find guides online, but the key points I found to remember is that you're not writing a PhD thesis. A lot of the guides will tell you to speak aloud when you're writing. I don't do that, but I do say in my head what I'm writing as I write it. Either way, the intent is to be aware of how what you're writing sounds as it's being spoken. The other big advantage for me in working from a script is that I'm working alone. I don't have a camera operator and a sound guy to handle all the stuff around me. Of course, flying solo is the norm for most vloggers anyway. That said, when I'm worrying about the camera and the sound and all the other stuff, there's a lot going on, and not having to worry about what I'm going to say helps reduce the number of things I have to keep track of while shooting. Okay, so what about working more extemporaneously? So far, it seems like one of the biggest points here comes down to getting comfortable in front of the camera. At least that seems to be what I've found. In normal conversation, I speak fairly well. I don't say a lot, and I can work through my thoughts in a coherent and straightforward manner. However, when I'm in front of the camera, all that kind of goes out the window. Granted, this isn't going to be a problem for everyone. However, I think part of my problem, and potentially yours, stems from my desire to be respectful of my viewers' time. I said this before, but I feel video demands a much higher level of attention from the viewer than other media, like print or even podcasts. As a result, I don't want to ramble and be all over the place. I think it's just disrespectful. In a normal conversation, the interaction with the other people I'm speaking with tends to keep me on track. But none of that's here with the camera. With that in mind, I still think preparation is key. Write yourself notes that cover the various points. This is especially important if there's important or intricate facts or data that you need to present. That said, I've tried several techniques for this, from notes on paper to keynote running or PowerPoint presentations running on a computer I can see. And while having a presentation and notes has helped me, I've still run into some issues. In some ways, the biggest of those issues is that a power presentation isn't quite as thought-free as a script. What I found happens is that if I wasn't intimately familiar with the order and extent of my slides, I would start fumbling around, wondering where a given point would be. With a script, that's all taken care of in the writing process. I just have to worry about delivering it. Of course, preparation extends well beyond just the presentation aspect. If you're doing something more complex with B-roll footage or multiple scenes, you'll really need to focus on preparation for that too. Remember, good video not only tells a coherent story, but it does so efficiently and effectively. The content, presentation matters, but so does pacing, composition, and the way it's edited together. That said, I'm not saying you have to completely understand every aspect of that stuff. But as part of your preparation for your video, you should be thinking about how you're going to pace and cut the scenes, if there are any. You may want to go as far as full-on storyboarding. Even if you're like me and can't really draw, roughly sketching out what you're thinking about and how you're thinking about shooting it can help. However, even if you don't want to go that far, it's not a bad idea to write down what you're trying to accomplish and the shots you think you might want to do to get there. As I keep saying, I'm not an expert in this stuff. This is what I found works for me. And, it's worth knowing that as I've been doing this, I've been learning it too. When it comes to preparation, though, I found it dramatically improves my productivity to be there and not put it off. For many of these vlogs at this point, I'm able to shoot them in one take, or in the worst case, two. More importantly, the need for editing is limited to basically syncing the audio, trimming the heads and tails from the source clip, tweaking a few things like audio and color, and files are largely ready to export and upload. This is a far cry from the hours plus I would spend having to work on my old podcast, trying to cut out unnecessary dead air and excessive uhs and ums. Anyway, I hope this was useful for those of you out there who are just trying to get started. If that was the case, please smash the thumbs up or the like button and subscribe. And if not, well, yeah, you already know what to do. For more in-depth written articles on photography, travel, and camera gear, please visit my website at www.pointsinfocus.com. Also, you can find me on Twitter at pointsinfocus. Thanks for watching.